Top 10 Most Dangerous Cities in Europe. While it is safe in general, it is also a very unequal continent. In Western Europe are some of the most developed countries in the world, but Eastern nations like Belarus, Albania, or Moldova have a development level comparable to places in Latin America or Asia. When we talk about the 10 most dangerous cities in Europe, one might assume that the majority of them are in the poorer nations of Eastern Europe. But nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, 9 of Europe's 10 most dangerous cities are located in developed, Western countries. Here is the list of the 10 most dangerous cities in Europe. 10. Malmo, Sweden. Over the past 2 years, Malmo, Sweden's third largest city, has become one of Europe's most dangerous cities and is sometimes compared to Chicago in the US. In one single year, Malmo had 65 shootings. Consider that the city has less than 350,000 inhabitants. This data gives an idea of how violent this Swedish city has become. Swedish media say that half of these victims are connected to organized crime networks and gangs. Others attribute it to the city's changing demographics. Malmo has become a magnet for immigrants over the years. Almost 40% of its population comes from abroad. If you are visiting Malmo, the finest area to stay in is near Gamla stan. It's convenient to everything, and it's also one of the most attractive places, rich with historical buildings. Furthermore, it is far safer than areas such as Rosengård. 9. Naples, Italy. As the regional capital of Campania, Naples is one of the largest cities in Italy. It has a long and rich history, and it's filled with amazing architecture, arts, and sounds. Unfortunately, Naples is also famous for its crime rate. This southern Italian city is chaotic and sometimes dangerous. In 2020, Naples was the #1 province in Italy in terms of robberies, which happened at a rate of 95 per 100,000 people. Last time in Naples, we chose to stay in the Capodimonte district, and we did not regret it. Aside from being considerably cleaner than the city center, the rates are reasonable, and there are several great local trattorias and bakeries nearby. The region's proximity to major sites, such as the Capodimonte Palace, and the catacombs of St. Januarius, is a great bonus. 8. Nice, France. Nice's most dangerous neighborhoods are those on the outskirts of the city center, where crime is much higher. Often residents of these areas fear going out at night, or running into criminals while walking around their neighborhood, because they are not sure what will happen. Because the police presence is so low in these areas, they are more vulnerable to crime. With over 2,348 CCTVs installed in the streets, public transportation, and parking lots, the center and other districts are relatively safe. Many people remember Nice for what happened on July 14, 2016. On this day, a 19-ton cargo truck was purposefully pushed into a crowd of people, killing 86 innocents. However, this was not the city's first, or last, encounter with violence. The region around the Messina Square is a favorite of tourists visiting Nice for a few reasons. Besides being safe, it is beautiful and well connected. 7. Minsk, Belarus. While statistics from Belarus may not be the most reliable in Europe, it is no wonder to find Minsk among the most violent cities in this ranking. The most common crimes in Minsk are theft and assault. Street crime is not a common occurrence in the Belarusian capital, but harassment from both organized crime and public agents are among the reasons locals feel unsafe. The U.S. Department of State recently issued a do not travel memorandum for all American citizens, citing, among other things, the possibility of foreigners being harassed by local officers. There was also the prominent case of a KGB officer involved in a double homicide in 2021. If you decide to go, be aware of your safety. 6. Nance, France. Nance, located on the Loire River's bank, is the most dangerous city in France on this ranking. The total crime rate in Nance has increased during the last years. The most common crimes in Nance are assaults, fights, rapes, thefts, and burglaries. Especially the districts of Centerville and Les Hauts-Pavés/St. Felix are dangerous, because the number of assaults occurring there is quite high. Our choice where to stay here is Centerville, since it has a decent structure, and is one of the most connected districts in Nance. 5. Catania, Italy. Catania is the second largest city in Sicily, and has been hit by earthquakes over the years, that left their mark on the city. If you look at pictures of the city, you will see that there are large areas of wasteland, abandoned buildings, and factories. The city has a certain reputation. It is not just tourists who are at risk of being targeted by thieves, but also those who live there. The streets are loaded with people who want to make money from tourists, so you need to be careful when you go out after dark. There are also complex issues with organized crime, also known as mafia, that, for decades, haunted the region. The Catholic Church in the city even banned nominated godfathers during baptisms, to avoid the blessing of criminal ties. 4. Birmingham, United Kingdom. In 2021, Birmingham had 116.93 crimes reported for every 1,000 inhabitants. The third largest city in England, also has the second worst robbery rate among large English cities, with 3.36 currencies for every 1,000 people. Birmingham has some of the highest crime rates in the country, and many parts of the city are blighted by gangs and drugs. The best, and safest, district to stay if you are traveling to Birmingham, is downtown Birmingham. 3. Marseille, France. According to the French writer Charles Dantzig, Marseille is a port city with a tradition of gangsters. And he is right. Marseille is a port city on France's southeast coast, near the mouth of the Rhône. It's one of France's largest cities, and has a population of nearly 900,000. Unfortunately, Marseille suffers from high levels of crime compared to other parts of France, with gang violence and pickpocketing being the most common offenses affecting tourists. The most dangerous areas to avoid in Marseille are the northern suburbs. Neighborhoods such as L'Estaque and Le Panier are plagued by crime. However, it's important to realize that other parts of Marseille can be equally dangerous, especially at night. In 2021, a string of murders in Marseille has sparked a political uproar over drug gang turf wars, terrorizing poor housing estates, where one recent shooting victim was only 14 years old. The best and safest place to stay in Marseille is the Old Port District, which is the heart of the city, very close to the antique Hellenistic port. Nowadays it offers a nice walk on both sides, with many bars and restaurants. 2. Coventry, United Kingdom. Coventry is an English city located in the West Midlands, approximately 100 miles northwest of London. It is the 10th largest city in England, and the 12th largest in the United Kingdom. The city is known for being the birthplace of St. George, but also has a history of figuring among the most dangerous cities in the UK and Europe. The crime rates, however, are falling drastically in Coventry, and maybe these rankings are being slightly unfair. Between 2020 and 2021, the city had a decrease of almost 50% in its crime rate, while in 2020, Coventry had 29,615 crimes. In 2021 there were only 15,258 occurrences. Therefore, it is understandable why, this year, Coventry lost the top spot to another British city. 1. Bradford, United Kingdom. Bradford is a city in the north of England. It's quite a dangerous city, with crime rates almost twice the national average. Crime in Bradford is mostly centered around drugs, prostitution, and violent crime. The most dangerous part of Bradford is the city centre, but other areas such as Girlington, Clayton, Little Horton, and Manningham are also quite dangerous. For a few years, the city was a hotspot for rapes and sexual assaults, particularly in Keighley, a Bradford district that was also home to one of the many child grooming gangs operating in the UK at the time. Bradford is a relatively poor city by UK standards. The government is pouring money into the city in the hope that better living conditions will also help to solve the violence problem. In one year Bradford a city with 536,000 residents, had 1,724 occurrences of burglary, 2,448 occurrences of vehicle crime, and 4,888 occurrences of criminal damage and arson. And here is the most impressive statistics. 22,870 sexual offenses, and it is getting worse. Sexual offenses correspond to 42% of all crimes committed in Bradford. If you consider to go to Bradford, have in mind to stay safe, and take care of yourself. Please, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. Stay safe.